prefer to not know what they're doing
Yeah, maybe.
because I would not do it right. Live stream, got it.
We can make up what they're saying.
Watch out, we might be live soon. We're live. All right, thank you, Owen. So I'm Norm Corbin. I'm the chair of the Northborough Historic District Commission. So this open meeting of the Northborough Historic District Commission is being conducted pursuant to S 2985 as amended, a bill to extend certain COVID-related amendments to the open meeting law as modified by Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, permitting remote meetings and participation until March 31st, 2023, signed into law on July 16th, 2022. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. This meeting will be live streamed and recorded and will not have the option of public participation. So now I want to make sure we're all connected. So I'm going to do a roll call vote. I'll start with Lorna. Give me a thumbs up that you. All right, and you can. And Leslie, can you see me and hear me? All right, Amanda.
Here.
Julianne.
Here.
Millie.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Reardon.
Here.
Bob Light.
Here.
And Brian Swanson.
Here.
All right, and I'm here. So the systems are working. We can go right into the agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the prior meeting minutes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any amendments to the meeting minutes? If no amendments, then if someone could make a motion that we can vote acceptance of the meeting minutes, that would be good.
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from December 14th, 2022.
Second.
Seconded by Brian Smith. So we'll do the roll call. Don't have the meeting minutes in front of me, but let's see. Leslie, you were there. For the meeting minutes, we're looking for.
We're just voting on them, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yep. Yes.
Yeah, so
Aye.
thank you. Millie,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Light,
Aye.
and Mr. Swanson.
Yes.
All right. So Tom can't vote, Lorna can't vote, and Bruce can't vote. All right, so we are good.
Did you vote?
I voted
Accepting?
aye, so it passes unanimously. All right. Old business, the historic preservation plan. Where we are with that. Did more distribution of the document. Trying to get that out there so people want to read it, at least they can access it. If they do read it, that's a different thing. So anyway, we got it on the Historical Society Facebook page, and from there, someone moved it over to one of the Northborough community Facebook pages. So it's out there. I think I mentioned this before. Copies with Town Hall, the planning department. Copies with the library. There's a copy at the senior center. I wrote a small article for the Community Advocate. It hasn't been published yet, but to just acknowledge the summary of the plan and how to access it online. The Historical Society, they have a large contact list, not just for members, and they also sent the links out with some basic information to their large contract list. If anybody can think of someplace else we should get it out there for the public, let me know and we'll find a way to get it there. So right. Other things that have popped up, because if you look at the plan, there was interest in getting interns. We had no involvement in this whatsoever, but I was glad to hear that the Historical Society has an intern that they're working with. It's Carter Brennan For those who don't know Carter, I worked with him for his Eagle Scout project back in 2016. We put those 50 markers around town. So Carter's really tuned into history. So he's going to be working at the Historical Society. I don't know what his role is or what projects he's working on, but it's just nice to see someone young.
Yeah,
In my mind, he's young, get involved. So that's good news.
nice.
I haven't been able.
The Brannons as in the Texas barbecue owner friends?
That I don't know. I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
no,
Okay, all right.
How do you spell the last
Just
name?
curious. All right, thank you.
How do I spell it, or how is it really spelled?
Either way.
I
How's
think
it sound?
Brannon would be pretty close.
That's correct.
Lorna's, oh, thank you, Lorna. You could have.
I was gonna say something, but you went right into it. I was like,
Well, I
you
was
got it.
asked.
But yeah, both my kids went to school with them, so that's how I know their lesson.
Oh, okay. Oh, small world. Good stuff. I've been kind of tied up the last month, so I haven't been able to contact the owners, the 4 owners that had interest in preservation options. It's still on my to-do list. But I was saddened to hear that Mr. Ronson, who owned the large property on Ronson, yes, his wife passed away about a year ago.
Rostron,
Thank you, Rostron. He
Oh,
just passed away.
yeah.
Rostron,
Rostron.
yeah.
Thank you for that. So I'll have to follow up and see. I won't be pushing this with them for a couple months, let them settle that out. But I was disappointed to hear that because he was I read his obituary, he was really active in the community. Nice to see. All right, so now, I don't remember if you remember, Millie, but last meeting, you were looking for a list of small projects.
Mm-hmm.
That ring a bell? All right. Good thing I pay attention. Let's see what we got here. If I can, that's there. Let me try the shared screen thing. That should be this one. Can you all see that list of small projects?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So just so we're all on the same page, this is from page 92 of the preservation plan. There's a list out there. What I did was I highlighted the ones, some of them that I haven't highlighted we're actually doing, so I didn't want to highlight those. But I wanted to highlight the ones that we could do. So I'm going to rattle them off. Collaborate with the Historical Society on some local history projects and programs. That's pretty open-ended. If you have something you're curious about, I know the society could help us finding more information for sure. That's one. One of the other ones we listed is partner with the Historical Society to set up historic rotating exhibits in town hall or the library. We've never done this before, but if you walk into the library is probably the easiest place to start. If you walk into the library, on the left-hand side, they have a glass case and they have rotating exhibits in there. So somebody has something that might be of interest, and there's some, and we get permission from the Historical Society to borrow it, put it at the library. I'm pretty sure it's a locked case. That's a thought. Going down the list. Actually, Amanda, you started this one, but I just want to make people know to approach the Northborough schools and see if there's a way to incorporate local history into their curriculum. So I appreciate Amanda's check that box for us.
Yeah, thank you.
About 5 years ago, myself and a few other people started to work with the cable access to look at some possible historic videos. We went down the path of ways, but the challenge was getting someone who was skilled in doing the videography. But there's a lot of things that could be done. I think there might be something that could be done with high school students. I'm not sure how the school year works, but a lot of them are certainly interested in videography. The challenge right now is the Northborough Cable Access director is a bit overwhelmed because she's lost 2 key people and they're having a hard time filling the jobs. But just keep that one in the back of your minds. Maybe it's something that should be thought through in the summer so we can kick something off in the fall. Again, I don't know how the school year fits in with these types of projects. There is a historic district brochure and website. The website's pretty much up to date, but the brochure, has anybody ever seen this brochure?
Mm-mm.
All right, we got about 200 of them. We usually pass them out at the Apple Fest with the booth. But if you read it, it's outdated. I think it's about 10 years old. And I just glanced at it again. It's probably 90% correct, but there's another 10% that should be edited and reprinted. And, you know, whatever else someone wants to do. So that's one of those little projects that's just hanging out there. They call it low hanging fruit. So that's one. Programs for the National History Month is in August. Preservation Month is in May, and Archaeology Month is in October. Is there something that we could do for Preservation Month or one of those months? I'm not sure what to do, but I think that's the challenge. Think about, you know, what could we just put something up. In the past, I know Marie Niebuhr, when she was active with us, she did something for Preservation Month, and I think it was at the library. You could kind of connect a few of these things together. You could say, why don't we do something for Preservation Month at the library in a display case? But, I'll let you guys think about that.
That would be good though, Norm, right? And if we did that for Preservation Month, I mean, the Historic Society must have plenty that we could put in that case if it's available.
I think that would be the conversation to have. What would they leave the archives, and what would be interesting to put there? But yeah, you know, someone wants the Historical Society is a great resource for us, and they're very generous with their information.
Well, I can talk to them. I finished my cemetery project, so I can take on another one if you want me to talk to the Historic Society and to the library.
Sure. What project did you finish?
The cemetery signs, they should
Oh, yeah, that's not finished till it's installed. Of course, we're not involved at this point, but yeah. We'll give that's Laura, if you look into that, that would be great.
Okay.
And then this is something that popped up. You know, the Northborough Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belongings Committee. If you remember, we had a conversation with them well over a year ago. And one of the things that came up in the conversation is the diverse culture. There's the diverse cultures in Northborough today, but there's also the diverse cultures from the earlier days. And in those days, the diverse culture would be bringing in French Canadians. That was pretty risky. I'm French Canadian, so I can say that. But bringing in the different skill sets from the different European countries. There were some blacks in town that were working here. In the changing of religion, bringing in the Roman Catholics and the Baptists, those are huge. We kind of don't appreciate that anymore, but those are huge cultural changes for the town. So if somebody wanted to do something along those lines, is with the Diversity Commission, I think they go by the BDIB committee, but there might be some way of working something with them. I'm not sure where they are and what their plans are, but you know, they're always a phone call away or email away.
Well, when you say consider programs, what do you mean? Like specifically educational or printing things?
You know, it comes down to what you want to do and what you think I don't know what a program is, but
Okay.
somehow something. So leave that. These are all, you know, loosey goosey. I think leave it up to the individual to what their interest is and how they want to do it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great list. Lots of things to begin to pick on.
And then I remembered other things that didn't make that list. Remember we had talked about the downtown walking tour brochure that nobody really saw, but Bob Light had a version of it floating around.
Yeah.
Did I email that to you this afternoon?
Yes.
At my fingertips. So I did get I got a couple of copies that I scanned in. And if you look at it, there's a ton of information in there. I had no idea. Let me see if I can pull that one up. I keep thinking you can see me, but you can't. Not with this. Let me see. Find it. Oop. Nope. did you guys go? Here it is. Now I don't have you. All right. What are you looking at right now?
Nothing.
The
All
Zoom
of
one.
us.
The hourglass?
You stopped sharing your screen.
Ah, all right. Me do, somehow I lost something. Let me try, no, no. Don't want that either. And I'm clicking on the Zoom icon, it's not giving me what I want to see. Shoot. There you are. That's what that button does. All right, I'm sorry. Now I'll try the shared screen again. All right, you're looking at page 4?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, there's 4 pages, and for some reason it likes to start at page 4. But so there's over 25 locations that are identified in the walking, the map and the walking history of the downtown district. In fact, I just sent this. Actually, I think I sent it to you, Millie, for the.
Yeah, for some reason I couldn't print it.
Oh, there is images and they're scanned in images. I'm wondering if that's the hiccup. So it might, yeah. So that's one page. I think every page is different, which is kind of weird. Let me see what we got here. Rather than trying to fight with this and see where everything is, yeah, it's a 4-page document. It's very detailed. It should be updated. We thought that someone might want to update it. At one point, the conversation went around having these, not the barcodes, the QR codes possibility. So I definitely sent it to all of you. Did you all get that in an email today?
Mhm.
No, I don't remember getting it.
All right.
I do have a hard copy though.
Yeah, well, there's an electronic copy. I'll make sure after the meeting I send it. So if this tickles somebody's fancy, take a look at it. It could be updated. Let's see. So again, it's a list of options. Now I'm gonna put this back on if I can do shared screen again without getting lost.
Does the person that there has to be an authority at the Historical Society that knows the accuracy of this, right?
I think so.
So this would be a joint project with the Historical Society.
Yeah, that would be a joint project with the Historical Society. I don't know how long ago that was prepared. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than 10 years.
I think it's less.
You think
The
it's
page
less?
you had up talked about the RNT lot being just a lot. And I don't think RNT's been gone that long.
The fire?
Yeah. It was one of the listings was the stables.
This says
And it said it
revised
was
20,
just a lot now.
What does
It
it
says
say?
this says revised 2020.
Okay, so it
No.
hasn't been updated. But the
I mean, I'm
thought-
I'm looking at one from 2020 from a meeting where Mike was looking at a different, like a different format. He sent us one for Truro, and so I remember we
don't
talked
know.
about this a while ago. That was November of 2020, and the image there, it says updated 2020 is the name of the document, and it says it right in it.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't have to be updated, but I thought we wanted to consider putting in some technology into it.
But is the one, do you have the one that says 2020, or can you look at the
I-
bottom and see?
The hard copy I have has copyright 1994. So I must have an old version.
I can't, for some reason, I'm not.
It says, yeah, this is copyright 1994 historical, and then after that it says revised 4/1/2020.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I have that. Okay, never mind. I missed it. So I have the same copy.
Okay.
So
Well, that's
Norm,
pretty up to date.
are you thinking about just making it like a QR code on the back or on the front or something like that? Like, are you just trying to like bring it into the newer technology that we have that even beginning before COVID, we didn't really utilize that much? Is that what you're thinking?
That was discussed, that was mentioned when we discussed it a couple of months ago. I guess what I'm trying to do is, if someone has an idea to improve it, let's hear it. I don't want to, I don't want to push any idea. So, but I think there was it's pretty, I did not realize how comprehensive it was.
Yeah, man, so I'm referring back to our, the notes from like a follow-up from our meeting from 2020. And in it said, Mike says, "Hi, all, attached to the booklet I was referring to at yesterday's meeting. The booklet is for Truro, but I'm sure I was in Wellfleet when I picked this up. Not sure why. Anyway, there's a scanned version. It's a little hard to read sideways, but the information is what's important. The Truro booklet is small and very similar to what Norm circulated the Northborough Historical Society walking tour, but has more color pictures. Perhaps we could update the existing walking tour pamphlet to a color pocket version versus a via grant." So that's what was discussed a few years ago, if that helps.
And I found my hard copy here, so that we're all on the same page. It was revised April 2020. So you're right, it's only about not even 3 years old. If there's interest in doing something with it, improving it, or one way or another, I mean, give it some thought. It's just one of the things that were on our list when I went back and double checked some things. So there's 35 sites listed here. So, I mean, in the simplest case, you could do a QR code that links each one of those sites to our inventory form, because every one of these has been inventoried. So if someone wanted to know more than 2 sentences, then the link to the inventory form would give them about 5 or 6 pages of information. It's it's just food. I'm just putting out there as food for thought. All right. I don't expect anybody to make a decision on what to do tonight. I'm just trying to put a little bug in people's ear that, oh, maybe there's something there. That
Well, speaking of putting bugs in people's ears, I mean, one thing with walking tours, typically, it's not unusual to have a recording where you actually listen as you're walking.
Oh, that good connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Forrest Lyford, I did something like that, I think, for one of the trails. Edmund.
He did it for Edmund Hill.
Yeah. So there's already a precedent where the Historical Society has done something like that. So when there's already a precedent, that means somebody knows how to do it. Just do it for another part of the town. That's the thought. So keep them coming in. All right, so I just wanted to make sure we all had a copy of that. I apologize if not everybody got that copy. I'll make sure I send that when we're done here. You could do a walking tour of the historic districts. That would be a much smaller brochure, but you could have and all that information for those who are attending Friday's program at the Historical Society. All the information is readily available as of Friday. So you wouldn't have to do much work other than figure out how to do a brochure or a walking tour or anything like that. So that's another thing to think about.
What kind of turnout did they get at those?
Historical Society,
Yeah,
since COVID, the numbers have been closer to 40,
wow,
40, 50. Before COVID, closest numbers were closer to 60 to 80.
wow.
Oh, yeah. COVID's keeping some people away. It's understandable. They're supposed to record this one so that it'll be online at a later date.
No, I'm impressed by the numbers being that high. That's great.
Pretty dedicated crowd.
They've had some really good programs recently.
Yeah, so it'll only be like 5 on Friday, but that's okay. Those who don't realize, I'm giving the program. Anyway, the next item was cemetery stones. Did you see the article in the Community Advocate in the paper or online, Lana, about Lana's work in the cemetery?
Yes.
So one of her things that she did is she came up with the procedures and buckets and chemistry for anybody else who wants to clean stones. Somebody wants to come up with a group of people to spend a nice afternoon cleaning some stones, it's all ready to go. So that's another little mini project that someone could get a couple of friends and do a half a dozen stones. It would be appreciated for sure. This is in here twice for some reason, updating our pamphlet. Did I mention the pamphlet already? Yes, I did. That was this, right? That was this one that nobody saw.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I have a
for
copy.
some reason that went up twice, but that's, like I said, it's probably 10 years old. A couple years ago, we went to look for funding to clean the Civil War Memorial. If you looked at in Shrewsbury Center where they did clean their Civil War Memorial, when these things are cleaned, they're quite impressive. They're beautiful stone, but with aging of 100+ years, they just kind of get grimy and they get some lichen on them. So I think that's something that could still be visited. The Civil War Memorial and the World War I Memorial, they could both be professionally cleaned. I think that would be a good thing. The trick with that one is to find out where the funding could be. Could it be privately funded? It might be if you knew the right people, and I would think the people at all the veterans in town might support something like this out of their own pocket. But those would be two memorials that would be nicely cleaned. The World War II, Vietnam, and Korean memorials, if you haven't seen them, they were cleaned by the town. They're all nice looking granite now. So that might be another option, but I think that's something we could pursue. And one war memorial that's missing is tons of them missing, but one that's missing is the Revolutionary War. We do not have a Revolutionary War memorial. And that would be something that would be, I think, nice to have. I think it was like 150 citizens in the town of Northborough fought in the Revolutionary War. So
Oh, wow.
it's and there's a lot of towns do have some kind of memorial for a Revolutionary War. This is just that list of, as Millie wanted to find out, small projects. They're all kind of little projects. They'll take some time, but they're not, they're not really cumbersome. All right. That was just really for food for thought. Going back down through the old business list. Mr. Swanson, I sent you a list.
I did see your list and I read your list, but that's as far as I got.
Yeah, well, what happened was we wanted to send some letters of appreciation and some letters of welcome. So there were two for letters of appreciation that caught our eye last month. Brian sent those to Brian. I said, "Oh, Brian, let me see if there's any people in town that were past year that bought some antique homes." It turns out over the past year, almost 12 antique homes have changed ownership. So I
Wow.
gave Brian a list of 12. I think it's 10 or 12. So Brian, it's not next week's work. Just as you poke at it every once in a while, it'd be great.
Yep.
It was a bit more than I expected. So that's good news. They're not tearing down these buildings. There are people who are buying the antiques and keeping them up. And I'm actually realizing in your annual report to put that in, because that's the good news. It's not always about demolitions. Lorna, do you have anything new on the signs? Where we up to date on that?
The last that I heard is that he couldn't reach Scott. So then you connected him and Scott. The signs should be ready this month. They were planning to install them. So I have not heard an update. Have you heard anything different?
All I noticed when I run by both of those entrances is they did put stakes in the ground where they want to locate the sign. So they're ready.
Yeah,
And
I'll
the
follow
ground's
up with him, but it was supposed to be by the end of January.
Oh, good. So the ground's not frozen yet, so I don't know how they feel about installing now versus later. I'm anxious to see those signs up. It always seems easy, but it's tedious, isn't it?
I learned a lot.
Yeah, we did too. Yeah, welcome to the club. And when I drove by the Brigham Street burial ground, the trees are still marked, the ones they want to take down, but there's been no action there. I know they'll come down at some point. I'm not worried about it. I just don't know what the timing is. I don't think that's a winter project.
What about the fence? Does the fence come after the trees are out, I assume?
Yeah, I would think so, because they're gonna have to access into there.
Yeah.
So, but I know it's on the list, and I know they get things done, and I know they've got a lot of things they're juggling, so I'm not worried about that at all. All right. New business. The membership list was sent to the Mass Historical Commission, so they know who we are, and they've got all our contact information. They want that every month, every year. We get it to them about every third year, so they was still happy to get it. Has anybody had a chance to read the annual report?
Yeah. Looks good.
The timing is funny on that. By the time we realize we have to do it, it's Christmas week, so we had no meeting. Leslie, thank you, Leslie, for making sure the editing is correct and the words are spelled right. That's all good. So. Something popped up last month that kind of surprised me. When I went through the files, I realized is any new street names in the town of North are supposed to have some kind of historical nomenclature. It's not supposed to be, my son's name is Bob, so it's Bob Road. And it turns out there's a whole document, but the document's from the 1980s that list all of the historical names that would be acceptable for the town to use. So I talked to Lori, and because I was looking online to see that if we have that list on in the town code. For some reason, the list never made it to the town code. We haven't got burnt by it, but Laurie in due time will find a way to get it into the town code. So there's one list that's available to everybody. The way it stands right now is they have to contact us, and I have to go to the files and dig it out. And that's not the way it should be. So, but there must be 100+ historical names. Brian Smith, you looked at that with me a couple of years back. There's actually an old map. It's a map from the 1980s that corresponds to the parts of the town that those names are supposed to be associated with. More than likely, we will just have a list of historic names that are appropriate for the town, because that's pretty cumbersome to say, in this quadrant, you can only use these names. So that's on Laurie's to-do list, but it's definitely not on the top of her list.
What qualifies as a historic name? I'm pretty
Whatever's
sure I
on
don't
that-
want to be on that list.
Huh? What was that?
I'm pretty sure I don't want to be on that list, but I do want to know what qualifies.
It's a good question. Let's see. Brian Smith, were you involved with that in the 80s?
I don't recall.
No, the names of the people on that 1983 list have moved on. And no one's
Yeah.
been one.
Yeah, dead white men.
Dead white men way. Uh,
Actually, at that time, there were quite a few women on the board. It was a very active women's board. It was a couple of women.
Interesting. Huh.
So Norm, the name Northborough comes from a town north of Cambridge, England, near Petersham, which I visited about 4 years ago. But it's a charming little agricultural village, and they have thatched roof houses, and I should bring my photos in someday, but there's a beautiful stone church, and
Yeah.
so Northborough, England is quite attractive.
Well, Millie's on the downtown improvement plan,
I am.
and maybe there's nothing wrong with a thatched roof in the center of town.
I'm not
Like-
sure the fire department would be okay, but I'll
Yeah.
check.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I used to have a like a news alert for Northborough, and this news alert popped up, and I was like, what is this? Where is this? And I realized it was that Northborough, not our own.
Oh,
Funny.
wow.
So we have a sister.
That'd be kind of fun to connect.
Millie, we're on the same page. It would be fun to connect with them somehow.
Yeah.
That little projects list?
Yeah, there we
Good
go.
Just, I'm sure you can Google them, and they have an office, and contact them. That would actually be fun to have
Fun.
a sister town in England. That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I also visited Shrewsbury, Grafton, Worcester, Salisbury,
Cambridge.
Leicester,
Yeah.
Cambridge, Oxford. Yeah, it was
Wow. Sounds like quite a trip.
The colonists weren't very creative with their names, were they? They left the country because they didn't like it, and they get here and they rename it all the places
Yeah.
they left from. It's kind of
Hmm.
true.
At least in Connecticut, they called, like New London instead of just London, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, New Northborough.
All right, I like that. Yeah, I won't follow up with that. I'm juggling a bunch of stuff now, but that might be an easy contact, actually.
But-
So if someone wants to, don't everybody do it, but if someone says, I'll do that, that would be good. If you want to see the list of street names, I can scan it in. It's like 5 or 6 pages. It's hundreds, but it's
Are
not.
these Northborough residents or?
No, they're all kind of like something would be called Mill Street or something. Most of them are not. A lot of them are people's names, but most of them are not names of people. Yeah, I can certainly scan that in. It sounds like it's enough curiosity.
It's not online somewhere. It's actually just on a physical
That's-
piece of paper.
It's actually on an official document with an official town code, but I guess somewhere after the 80s, town code changed, the nomenclature or something's changed, and it never got into the new system. We can't find it. So anyway, like I said, so let me think about sending that out. It's good that we all know that it exists. But Laurie didn't know it existed. I was surprised. I found it in a file, and I remember Brian Smith and I talked about this. It's got to be 4 or 5 years ago. All right. When I sent around the information, I sent around a picture of a house at
Yeah.
129 Maple.
Hmm.
So this is the way that works. This is different for us. Usually if there is a demolition request for that property, the new owner purchased it and he's wants to demolish it. So we could do the whole process of what we want to do for a typical demolition request. You read the bylaw carefully, the last sentence or two says, in an emergency case, in certain situations, if the building inspector considers that the house can't be saved, so it could be taken down. So I emailed the building inspector and the fire chief, and I said, what do you know about this house? Is it safe? And the response is, it needs to come down. So the bylaw says they can just make that decision and we don't have to go through the regular process.
That was the house where there was a fire, right?
It was, oh
Yeah.
and someone died in the house. So
Yeah, because they didn't have smoke alarms.
so it's, there's no, and if you look at the house, it also had a lot of alterations done to it. So with the fire chiefs and the building inspector's recommendation, I said, okay, you do what you have to do. So we're not involved with that demolition. I don't know what's coming down next week or in 3 months, but I wanted everybody to know that that demolition is being done through the building inspector and fire chief's recommendations. We've never had a situation like that before. There was a picture. I did send a picture around, didn't I?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one on the list was the Friday's program about Northborough Historic Districts. If you're interested, it starts at 7. I've been asked to keep it to a half an hour by my lovely wife. So it's down to 30-minute presentation. It's not a 2 hour. It could easily be 4 hours. I can't believe how much information there is on these properties, but we're not gonna go that route. We're gonna just. give a cursory-
That's at the Historical Society, right?
Correct, in the meeting room downstairs. Masks are required.
If it could easily be 4 hours, thank goodness for Linda.
Bob, I'm going to catch you off guard, but you and I had a very interesting visit to Lisa Orr's antique property and I'll say pottery shop, but it was much more than that. You want to describe what that was about?
Yeah, it was amazing. The weird thing, she just moved in from Texas, I think Austin, Texas, but she's only been here about a year. And she's really taking it seriously to rejuvenate the property, spending a lot of money, it must be. Now it still needs a lot of work, but if I think it was late 1700s. And it used to be the old,
It's a
What's the
Fawcett apple orchard, fossil apple.
Fawcett, yeah. And apparently before 290 came through, the apple orchards were in back of the house, which is now on the other side of 290.
What's
You
the
forgot-
address?
It's 6 Reservoir Street. If you're going down Church Street to get on 290, it's the last house on the left. You can see the back of the house. It's got 3 or 4 barns. One of the barns has some tarp on it. The barns, some of them are a little shaky. And the house has just been painted. It's a yellow, right? It's a very distinctive color.
She just painted it yellow with I can't remember the trim, but it
With
was
a green trim. So
Yeah.
but if you were to go down Reservoir, you know how to get on Reservoir. You take the left on Crawford and take that quick right on Reservoir. Her house is right there. It's right.
It's right there. And in fact, it's if you're on 290 coming from Worcester and you get off at Church Street,
Yeah.
the house is like right there on the exit ramp, which is unfortunate but it is it's nice property. It hasn't. Interestingly, there's the old, I think it might have been the old Church Street before they built 290. There was a road that went to Boylston, and that goes right past their house, and it's basically half buried in by leaves and things. But it's it's an abandoned road that goes right through their farm. She's a famous ceramist, pottery person, and she. I guess so there was an old barn attached to the house, and then beyond that there is a building that used to be part of the apple orchard where they would make cider, and she turned that into a pretty nice ceramic plant.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and nice little property. Again, it's unfortunate that the highway went through there, but it's really nice because she's taking it seriously. She's really putting a big effort into it, and I'm amazed at how much she's been able to do in a year.
And her artistry is I've never seen anything quite like it before. It's very bright. It's very colorful. And she wants to she's out of town. She has family in the area now. That's why she's moved here. But she does want to get involved with the history of the town. She wants to get involved with the cultural council, the artists in town. She would be a real asset in those communities because she's not a kid. She's got a real business that's thriving. So it's nice to see that's moved into. I would not have expected that to be Northborough. Someone would come into Northborough for it. But
Where is her business?
she works out of the barns, and then most of it's online.
She sells through Etsy.
Etsy.
And
Okay.
But she asked us, let's see if I can think of the right words. Excuse me for that. In Texas, she did some public art. And
Interesting.
I think her DVD might have had some public art. So she was wondering if the town of Northborough would ever be interested in any of her public art. Like, well, you need to talk to some people, not me, but you need to talk to some people because I think people are interested in public art. We have parks, we have things, so hopefully she starts to make some connections in town.
What is her name?
Yeah.
Lisa Orr, O-R-R. And if you Google it, I think she said her website was said problems with her website. But if you go to Etsy, you can find her, I'm sure.
Definitely.
And we were accompanied by 2 people from the Historical Society, Ellen Racine
Mm.
and Diane.
Lyford.
Right.
It turns out I did not know that Diane Lyford has a degree in art. So it's like, it was a perfect fit for her to show
I
up.
love that.
So anyway, thanks, Bob. It was a pleasant surprise. She contacted me about a month ago and she says, does anybody want to tour my facility? Let's start with 4 of us and see, we'll go from there.
Ah,
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
oh my gosh. it's
She's a
gorgeous.
Fulbright. She's a Fulbright scholar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Says Lisa Orr is a professional potter and has been a student of ceramics for more than 40 years. After completing her MFA in 1992, New York State
Wow.
College of Ceramics and Alfred University received a Fulbright. and an MAAA NEA grant to continue her studies. Lisa's work is shown in numerous public and private collections, including the Fine Arts Museum of San Francisco, permanent collection of WOCEF in Korea. Lisa currently teaches, lectures, and shows nationally, internationally. And then the picture underneath it says Northborough, Massachusetts.
Wow. No, her work is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, she's an expert in Mexican pottery, and that she does a lot of her artwork modeled after some
Mm,
Mexican pottery.
yeah. Holy.
There we go.
moly.
Little old Northborough has another.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Did you want to, Norm? Did you want to look at some pictures?
Well, why don't you pull maybe a couple of her artwork because nobody else has access right now to the website.
Mm,
So Bob took a variety of pictures of she does some pretty creative stuff in her house. It's
Yeah. One of the she has a little wood stove, and she made a large L-shaped bench, and it's connected to the wood stove, and it's made out of ceramics. And the
Oh,
exhaust from the wood
oh.
stove goes through the bench and out an exhaust. So it can probably seat 10 people, and
Wow.
it's basically a heated seat. So when the fire is going, you sit down, and it's really very ingenious.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
really cool. She's a very creative person, and she's done it with one thing that she likes to make. I've seen quite a bit of these, essentially 14-inch square tiles, and it's all done with these tiles. And
Oh,
it's
it'd be beautiful.
fascinating. So,
Yeah, definitely love to highlight and have some input with her skills. Sure.
did you want to bring a picture or two up, Bob, or we can move on?
I could just show the front, maybe just the house. If you,
Yeah, I want just 2 or 3 pictures.
okay, if I can share screen,
Yeah, hopefully you can do better than me.
how do I do that?
Down on the bottom, there should be a link that says shared screen.
Oh, wait, here we go. Share content.
Yeah. At the top, not the bottom. Don't listen to me.
No, I lost place. Right? All right, that's. Can you see that?
No, you're not sharing your screen.
I'm not.
You have a Mac?
Yeah, I have an iPad.
Okay, so you might have to go into your security settings to allow the sharing.
Oh,
It's not like a conventional Microsoft product.
all right.
I
Maybe.
know.
Let's,
Bob,
let's
when you selected the screen, you have to hit a button in the bottom right of that pop-up screen that says share. So you select which screen you want, and then in the bottom right of that box is a share. Did you try hitting that?
wait. It says share content. No.
That might be it. So yeah, if you're on an iPad, it's a little unfamiliar to me. I'm doing it
Okay.
on a PC. But yeah, for me, I would select what I would want to share. And then I have a share button in the bottom right corner that I have to enable as well. And then that would bring up the screen share for me.
Okay. Should I click on screen or photos? Share screen, I assume.
Yes. And then I believe that will share everything on your screen. So again, I don't know if you have anything else popped up as well, but I believe if you hit share screen and then select the photo you want, that might come up there.
Okay, everything on your screen will be. No, I don't. No, that's not it.
Hey, Bob, I might be able to help you out. Let me give it a really quick shot, all right? I found the
I see.
picture you sent.
Okay,
If you're not having luck, let me see if I can do it. And if I can do it. Surprised. All right, so this way. Whoops. Viewing Millie's screen. How come I'm viewing your screen?
I don't know. What are you viewing?
It's a picture of all of her artwork.
Oh. Did I take control of something and don't
You
know
did,
it?
you did. It was like, wow, this is great. Yeah, you got a whole.
Oh, so
photo
everybody
gallery.
saw that.
It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so thank you, Millie.
Good thing it was-
You will now be our new screensaver expert.
Good thing it was that, Millie. What else do you have up there?
Who's driving?
Bob took over your screen. All
Oh,
right, let me,
oh, that's hysterical.
I think I'm sharing a screen. Am I sharing?
Yeah,
yeah,
oh,
now I see.
yeah, circa
Right.
1784. Oh,
Oh
cool.
my God, that's gorgeous.
That is, wow.
Look at that.
Now, that was a new addition off of the main house. So the main house is to the right. And the old barn is to the left.
The new edition was 1784?
Yeah.
No, I think it was later than that. I think she mentioned it was in the mid 1800s when that new addition was built. This is the small walkway that connects the house to the barn.
Oh my.
Now, are you looking at some of her pottery?
No.
No, we're still looking at the circa 1784 building.
All right, I like the way the shared screen works. Fantastic. How about that? Now you're seeing pottery?
Yes.
Yeah, there
Wow.
we go.
Wow. That is wild.
And these pieces are unique. You can see my arrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for flowers. So it has all these holes so you can make a pot of flowers here.
Mm, yeah.
And you flip it upside down and it's a candle holder.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Cool.
And then she has another part. There's another one that she has a pretty. And if you look closely, there's a sun here. There's a lot of detail in the artwork. You have to look closely and you can see that. Now, if I do
Yeah.
this,
Very cool.
there's one more picture I wanted to show you. And
So how did you find out about her?
before she bought the property, she contacted us to know what she could do with the old property. She wanted to know
Wow.
the restrictions on it. So the conversation started about a year and a half or more ago.
Oh, wow.
And then Bob and I met her at the Applefest booth. She came in, talked to us for quite some time about what she's doing. She wanted to know what we do, and that was the connection.
Nice.
Nice.
Does she want to join?
She could. We didn't ask her, but she could. All right, is this working now?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Look
That's
at
her
that.
studio.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was that used to be where they would press the apples, I guess, to make the cider.
Yep.
And there's a garage door that goes out to the back.
So in these numbers, she's training someone in the art world, but she does a lot with these large house numbers and
Yeah.
sells a lot of them. She says it's actually a pretty steady business. So.
They're pretty cheap too. I saw those on Etsy.
Oh, you
They're
did?
like, yeah, they're like $20 a number.
Oh, really?
Wow.
That's not
Wow.
bad.
Oh. All right, so now we know about Lisa and keep an eye out for her artwork and hopefully we'll see her around town. And yeah, maybe we can get her in to talk to us at one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she would be a good group leader. I mean, you know,
Yeah, she'd be a good asset for us, I think.
yeah.
We'll talk to her, keep her interested.
Hmm.
All right, the last one on the new business is I got an email from Peg Stone. Peg Stone is she's on the board of selectmen for the town of Berlin. And she wanted to know, she was asking some very basic questions, like she knew we had an inventory of properties and she says, well, how do you know if they're historic? How does that all work? Well, we've defined our inventory by anything built before 1900, and then we feed that into the state, and there's some processes of doing this. So while I was at it, I went to the website for Mass Historical Commission that lists all of the inventory properties in the state. I popped in Berlin, and I think they got about 40 buildings listed. And I said, do you know about this database? No, she wasn't sure about the database. I said, if you spoke to your historical commission, because they have a historical commission, she says, no, maybe I need to talk to them. I said, yeah, I said, they'll help you out. I don't know where her question was coming from, but I said, your historical commission should be very helpful here too. But every once in a while we get, like all of our email requests go to Diane Wackel That's the way the system is set up, and then Diane forwards, because I'm the chair, she forwards them to me to respond to. So we get them every once in a while. I feel good that I help Peg. You know, sometimes you don't really realize what's in your own town. So those pop up once in a while. I just want to let you know that. Can anybody think of anything else before we go to the last topics? Something you're curious about, something you found out about, anything?
The downtown beautification thing is tomorrow night, right?
Yep, that was gonna come up. We're gonna go committee representatives update. So why don't we start with the master plan implementation? Millie,
That's me.
you have the floor.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, I'm hoping to see some of you folks because it is it's the first community meeting. It's at the Algonquin Regional High School Library at 6:30. And basically what we're going to be looking for is public input. We're going to do something similar to what we did with the master plan, which is have some stickers to put up with different items and different actions and things that people would like to see in town more of. So hopefully we're going to get some feedback that we can then begin to assimilate into our next action. There was talk about doing something like along the lines of a historic walk. So if that's something that people think would be interesting, we'd definitely like to see a lot of stickers on that. But so hopefully that's something that we'll get the results from and begin to continue to have some traction on this.
And this is all coordinated through the contractor you have that's setting this all up.
Yeah, it's the Wesson and Sampson, I think is that.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Downtown's just down the street. Or some, actually, some of us are pretty close to downtown, so might want to know what's going on.
Yep, and the other thing is that eventually they're going to have some meetings with the business holders in town that also will, I hope, generate some information and some feedback.
All right, see what tomorrow brings. Anything updating from CPC, Leslie? We should
No,
know.
our next meeting is done. The open hearing, public hearing for all the projects ended at the last meeting. And our next meeting is next Thursday. We'll start to deliberate on the various projects.
Got it. And that's really when the decisions are starting to be made in terms of who gets funded and for how much.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Millie, again, anything in the planning board? I heard some discussion at the planning board about White Cliffs. I can hold that to the White Cliffs topic. Is there anything else at the planning board? History?
As far as what?
History, something that would be relevant to what we try to do.
Not necessarily from planning board at this time. But I know they're, throwing through, I believe it's coming up on the town warrant for rezoning. But we don't have anything else.
I don't know if everybody knows what that zoning request might be. You feel comfortable telling us roughly what the zoning change is?
Right now, it's the property is zoned both residential and business.
This is the White Cliffs property, right?
Yeah, the White Cliffs. And having some limitations on what might be a business interest to have it be zoned residential. They're looking to increase the opportunities as a business and weighing out the options to rezone the whole property, or obviously that would be put to the town.
What's the zoning change to become from RC to, is it business,
It would
downtown
be
business or
Business
business east?
east.
Okay, but business east doesn't allow multifamily housing.
Right.
Not a good change.
So that's,
Because both of the proposals had multifamily housing, so this zoning change wouldn't help them. Whoops.
Right.
Well, that's why it's not.
That's why they want it. That's hopefully going to clarify whether or not it can be or cannot be.
Okay,
Yeah, I think one of the drivers, one of the proposals, one proposal has housing and the other proposal is not housing, but it can't, if the other proposal is selected, the zone won't let it be up there. So I think it may not be, they may not have figured exactly what they have to do with the details, but they recognize it's something has to be done. So, and we get, town meeting is April, so I'm sure whatever between now and then, it'll be tweaked.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Millie. I forgot about that zoning. That's actually could be an important one. I can give an update on where White Cliffs is, at least what we're doing, if there's interest.
Yes, please.
Yep.
Thought that might be the case. All right. So, where we are is we had 3 proposals come in. One proposal was incomplete, so it was eliminated. We're working on 2 proposals now. One is, both of them have restoration of the mansion as part of the proposals. Both of them have improved landscaping as part of the proposal. But beyond that, they're quite different. One is to have new construction for 52 units of affordable housing. And the other one is kind of to build a new building for events, a new event space facility. It also includes a lot of offices. The goal here is to have the offices to have cooperative offices, so people kind of work together in the technical field, we used to call them incubators. And they also have these auxiliary units that they would be putting on site for almost like small startups. The auxiliary units are, they're actually based on steel containers that are used on cargo ships. That's kind of the basics of them, and then they dress them up for different purposes. And then they also, the concept also has a lot of community access to the property with gardens and things like that. So they're 2 very different topics. So we had both of them in to give us an overview and have a one-to-one conversation face-to-face. That meeting has been fully taped. It's available online if you want to see it. It's 3 hours because we gave each person an hour and a half. As a result of that interview, we generated a bunch of additional questions that were not addressed, that came up during the interview. We forwarded it to the 2 companies with the proposals, and we got responses to those questions. Tomorrow morning, between 9 and 11, we're starting to discuss 2 proposals with all the information that's been supplied for us, and see how we go forward from there. Tom's on the committee with me. Julianne's also on the committee with me. Did I miss any key point? This is not a White Cliffs committee, so I don't want to go into gory details, but I just wanted to give an update. And today, several of us went out to look at the affordable housing units that this company has under construction in the Medway, to see what kind of capabilities, what kind of styles they use, how they all set that up. And that was definitely insightful for us, because I am not familiar with affordable housing projects. So tomorrow is a big day for us, because it could be the final discussions. We'll see. Did I miss anything, Tom or Julianne?
no, it's good.
So stay
Both-
tuned. It's
both
going to be
proposals-
live broadcast, and it's going to be taped, and you can sit in the room if you're interested. But this is
Both proposals have some function space at the White Cliffs for events.
Yes, one of them is actually going to build an additional venue for the events, but both of them have, terminology is not explicitly clear, but both of them have options where the main floor of the mansion could be available for some type of event space or community space. There's a definition there we don't have quite clear yet. The main point The mansion is not being torn down. There will be demolitions of the additions to the mansion, but the main point is the main mansion itself will be restored.
How many units did you say? With the first,
It's 52 total, if my memory is correct. It's around 52. And everything's in preliminary stages. There's a conceptual design. I mean, we're not anywhere near the decisions for that. It's this concept, both concepts, which one will be going forward.
So what was 52?
The affordable housing
Oh, 50 number of units. Okay.
number of units. If I have my story straight, the committee makes a recommendation that goes to the Board of Selectmen. Then I think the challenge is to get it on the town warrant for voting at maybe the April meeting. Nothing is done until there's a town vote. I think some people are concerned that we're making a decision and we're signing a check the following day. It's not happening. What's happening is we make a recommendation, and in the end, town meeting decides if so I just want to make sure that's clear. I get emails sometimes I need to respond to. All right. I don't have anything else. Anybody have anything else?
Norm,
Yeah.
can I just run something by you? So I attended a lecture on the Legacy Tree Program in Massachusetts. It's I'm just going to read something quickly. So it says, through the Legacy Tree Program, the National Champion Tree Registry, the Department of Conservation and Recreation Forestry Program formally recognizes the largest and most interesting known tree of each species, trees of historical origins, and other trees of unique and significant importance growing within the state of Massachusetts. Trees that are included on the roster of legacy trees have a historical or cultural value, botanical interest, or whose size falls within 25 percentage points of the current champion for the species. So champion tree just means that it's, it's got the biggest size. But I didn't know if this is something you wanted to add to an agenda, and I can give you more information. It doesn't really protect trees, but of course it's one of those recognition things that might add a little protection to a tree that might be coming down. And also just to bring knowledge of it and to kind of look around your town and see if you've got anything interesting.
I'm sure we have some that are interesting, but because it has a history twist on it, we should be aware of it. But isn't the Conservation Commission people, wouldn't they be more knowledgeable of what fits that criteria as opposed to the Historic Commission?
I don't know, because one of the criteria is that if the tree has historical or cultural value. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, I think off the top of my head, I already know of two, but I just don't know if there's more. I mean, I only know these by happenstance. I don't know them because, I'm an expert in trees. I'm not.
So there's a simple application on the DCR website, and you just fill out the tree, and then something happens. I mean, I can get more information if you want. I didn't know if there was any interest.
I would, what does anybody else think about this topic?
I think it's kind of interesting.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's worth learning more about it. Definitely.
I think it's interesting too. One tree is the big beech tree that's outside of the mansion.
Yeah.
White Cliffs Mansion. And there's another tree across from near Bigelow's nursery. On the right-hand side is this big, humongous old tree that somehow brought attention to me because it was old and historic and someone wanted old pictures of it. So that's another huge tree.
Yeah.
It was by happenstance. And I bet someone on the Conservation Commission has a list in their head.
Mm.
So yeah, Julianne, I think, like everybody else said, find out more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if there's nothing else, we can to socialize, or we can just say time out? I would need a motion to adjourn to do that.
I move that we should adjourn.
Second,
Second, yeah.
Okay, Millie will get the second on that one. And
Yeah.
all right.
I'll do the roll call vote by the voting members. We're gonna start with our newest voting member, Amanda.
Yes, I.
All right. Leslie,
Aye.
Brian Swanson,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Bob Light,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, thank you very much. We didn't discuss about the next meeting, but we're targeting now the third Wednesdays of the month. And we're gonna stay on Zoom probably through the winter, and unless something pops up. So, that okay with everyone?
Good.
Great.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
You too.
Thanks, Norm.
Norm.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Great
Bye-bye.
meeting.